Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 632. I had the white pieces and kicked off with c4 here, the English opening. The opponent goes knight f6, a very flexible response and top choice. And I go g3. We are diverging from the main line. Well, d4 would go back into a queen's pawn opening. So the knight moves are the main moves here, but g3 is a respectable alternative. He goes c5, going for the symmetrical setup. e5, the reverse Sicilian is the most popular move these days. And there's other choices, e6, c6, g6, going for a counter fianchetto, or c5, the symmetrical. All of these are fine. The thing about the English opening from white is that it's not that threatening. So black can play a number of different setups. It's kind of a slow developing system from white. And so black is not under any immediate pressure, and there's a lot of different ways he can play it. Let's see. I go with knight c3 here. My idea in playing these initial moves is to get pressure along this light squared diagonal. And let's see, he goes knight c6, which is, it's a respectable move here, although e6 is another idea here, or the immediate d5, which is the way I like to play it. It busts up the center a little bit and prevents the Botvinnik setup, which I get to here in a minute. So not that the Botvinnik setup is something you should be afraid of, but anyway, I just didn't like it when I was black, so I was looking for a move that prevented it, and the immediate d5 seems to fit the bill. Okay, he goes knight c6 though. It's a respectable alternative, and if I go knight f3 now, we're into the four knights variation, which is a main line. But I go bishop g2. I have a different idea in mind, like I mentioned. He goes g6, and I go e4. So momentarily we're out of the opening book. Knight f3 would get us back into mainline territory, but e4 is a move to get into the Botvinnik setup, and you'll see that after a couple of moves here. Let's see, he played d6, I played knight to e2, and he played bishop to g7. You see we've actually gotten back into the opening book. So we've just gotten to this position by a different move order, and there was no big significance to that move order as far as I can tell. I looked at it with the chess engine. It seems like black is okay, and white was okay with all of that. Let's see. I castled here. I could also have played d3 first. Those are equally good. He castles, and now I played d3. I kind of defer this d3 move because sometimes it's an idea to play d4 in a single move. But if I play d4 here, this just lets black have a King's Indian type of position with a lot of counterplay, and that's not what I'm going for here with the Botvinnik setup. So d3 completes the Botvinnik setup, and that's the knights here, the bishop here, castling, and this pawn triangle is the whole Botvinnik setup. And I just started playing this a couple of years ago, but I've actually had pretty good luck with it, so I think I can recommend this system to if you're just looking for a different system to play from what your usual moves are. You want just a change of pace every now and then, and you want something that's pretty simple to learn and has clear strategic ideas. The ideas are twofold. One is there's these break moves with f4 or with b4, so you can expand on either the king side or the queen side. Those are the principal ideas in this position, and you can't just go directly for a king side attack in a lot of cases, because if he doesn't oppose the f4 push, you can just gain a lot of space on the king side. Let's see, and then sometimes you also have a third idea, which is to break in the center with d4. So it's a flexible position in spite of its somewhat rigid-looking appearance here at the moment. And it's kind of slow developing, so you don't get killed out of the opening, which can be a benefit when you're trying to learn a new system. If it's a super sharp new system, you have to learn all these exact careful moves to avoid getting destroyed, whereas with this one, you can play these moves pretty safely. Okay, but that's enough. Let's see, he goes e5, and we're just out of the opening book here. And I go for the immediate king side expansion. He takes, which is not bad, and I take with the bishop. I checked this out later. I mean, you can take with the pawn, the knight, or the bishop, but I think this is the most active way to play, and the chess engine approved as well. Because of the way black did his setup, he's now got a weak pawn there on d6, and I can target it. Let's see, he goes bishop g4, pinning my knight, and I unpin immediately. And now he takes. And the chess engine frowned on this move. After this, white starts to get an advantage. Up to this point, it's pretty even, really. So the chess engine would like for black to play with queen d7 here. And then say I bring my rook over. And then maybe knight e5. And this is an interesting way for black to play. The idea is I don't really want to take this knight because that would open up the d file and unleash this pressure against my weak d pawn. So I have to put up with the knight on e5 there for a while and tolerate some pressure against my d pawn. At some point I may be able to push with d5, but I don't think I can do that right away. Anyway, so bishop takes e2 kind of helps me out a little bit. I took back with the knight. I thought the queen and the bishop are already well posted, and this knight has different ideas from d2. It could go back to from e2. It could go back to c3, or it could support the pawn push to d4, and it also supports the f4 square. Let's see, he goes knight e5 now, so that's a good move. And I go king h1. It's not a bad move, but it's kind of slow, and I gave it a questionable status there because the move bishop to g5 is just stronger, putting immediate pressure on this pin knight, which is attacked by the rook. I've got this open f file, and so it's a good way for me to exploit it right at this point. And there's no hurry to get my king to safety. It's not in any immediate danger, so this is kind of a slow move. But that's what I played. I played king h1. He went rook to c8. I go b3. I also would question the move order here. Typically you want to move the rook out of the way before pushing the b pawn forward. And my queen was defending the b pawn already, so I didn't really need to move the pawn first. Anyway, so again, that was kind of slow, I guess. But because he has both of these knights in the way of his bishop, and there was no immediate tactical disaster there. Okay, I go rook a d1, finally clearing the dark squared diagonal, so his bishop has not got a lot of useful targets here. He goes knight to c6. Okay, just regrouping the knight. And I go bishop to h6 here, trading off the dark squared bishop. This bishop can be a good piece in this structure. Even though it's not looking at anything right now, it has a nice home here on d4 and also maybe on e5. So it's a useful piece, and if I can get rid of it, that probably helps me out a bit here. So that's why I went bishop h6. But once again, bishop g5 is a better move here. And the chess engine wants to play h6 to chase the bishop away. Well, actually, just giving up a pawn in order to trade off that bishop. So it finds the pin so annoying. And so anyway, the reason why this pin is so annoying is that that knight is in serious danger here. Let's see. Well, first of all, it's hard. It's a little bit hard to find a move. The bishop and the queen can't really move because they're needed to protect the knight. The knight is pinned, and I can pile up on the knight with more pressure with queen f4. So rook e8 maybe is a try to defend. Queen f4 to add more pressure to the knight there. And if the knight moves, I can break through and attack, take on f7. So going there to counterattack my queen is not working. So rook e6 to defend, and then bishop h3 skewers the two rooks and also chases it off the defense of the knight. So white is just winning. So that's why in this position after bishop g5 he actually has to give up a pawn. So that would be best play for white. Anyway, I went with this bishop h6. He traded. I took. He played rook to e8. And then I pushed on with d4. I guess I'd been thinking about this a move ahead and forgot to take into account in my calculations that now he's got two pieces hitting the e-pawn, and it's no longer safe for me to push that d-pawn forward. So I pushed the d-pawn forward, just giving up the e-pawn. So I could play something like queen f4, and the chess engine thinks white is better. But after d4, then black is fine again, although he can't take the pawn. So the fact that I was giving up the pawn here, it caught me by surprise that I left that pawn hanging. So I reacted to it by let's see, taking on c5. But there's a winning move here, actually, that white has. So this is the brilliant tactic that I missed during the game and I referred to in the description. So here's your second chance. See if you can spot the tactic here. Okay, pause the video if you want some time to think about it. I am going to give the answer away now. It's a very typical tactic. Rook takes f7. And you should always consider this move whenever the king is the only piece that can take back. Because it brings the king out to where it's exposed, and your other pieces can flow into the attack naturally. And he has to take. Taking is forced because there's a threat of checkmate there with the queen and the rook. So those are the two factors that make this move one of the first that you should think about. The sacrifice on f7 is a move, it's a common theme in many tactics, but here what makes it work is the fact that the king is the only piece that defends that square, and that it threatens mate, so the king is forced to take. So after you take and the king takes, then you come in here with the queen to h7 check. And the best move, believe it or not, is the king back to f8, and then your rook comes over with check, and then he has to start giving up material here to stave off the mating attack. So let's see. Let's turn on the engine for just a bit. There are a few defensive tries here, so it might be useful to look at them. For example, knight to f6 leads to a mate in 5. Bishop to d5. Okay, and that's a pretty clever idea. Sorry. So you've got the mate threat here, and the pin on the knight means that square is not defended. So, okay, let's turn the engine off. I was just wondering about that one. And of course, blocking with the queen, then white is up material. So just a killer attack here. And then, let's see, if the king, after this check, if the king comes forward, it actually gets mated pretty quickly. Notice that this pawn is coming in with check, and the rook is coming over with check. And so there's no escape for the king in that direction either. So anyway, rook takes f7 right here is a winning move. Just game over. Okay, I took on c5. This leaves us with an even game. Even though I'm a pawn down, I guess I have enough compensation here. Rook takes f7 again was an idea in this position. But anyway, I brought my queen back, and I'm piling up on the f-pawn. He goes queen e7 to defend. Cancel that, queen e7 to defend. And I push on with g4. I'm just trying to get my attack going again, although I missed my best chance here. And he plays knight f6, which is a bit of a mistake. Let's see, I go knight g3, bring my knight into the game, and he goes king g7, defending his knight. Let's see, could I have taken? Yeah, I couldn't take right away because his queen was attacking my knight, my queen's attacking his knight. So knight g3, now I'm attacking his knight, and he defends it. And then right here, there's another tactic. This one is simpler, so see if you can spot this one. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now, so pause the video if you want it to figure it out. The answer is rook takes d6. And I'm not sure why I missed this one. This is very straightforward. It's a double attack. What's hard to keep track of a little bit is the fact that that is a loose piece, and that is a loose piece. And the reason why they're both loose pieces is because they are attacked as many times as they are defended. So normally you think of a loose piece as a piece with no defenders, but it's also no defenders and no attackers, because if it was attacked, you would just take it. So that's the definition of a loose piece, is really it has an equal number of attackers and defenders, because one more attacker will threaten to take it. And he's got two loose pieces here, and that's because the bishop is attacking the knight, and the rook is defending it. Here we have rook and queen attacking this knight, and queen and king defending. So just one more attacker is enough to tip the balance here. And so now this has got two attackers, one defender. This has three attackers and two defenders. So he loses a piece here. There's no defense. So that would be pretty simple. Anyway, I had completely lost the thread in this game, and wasn't seeing stuff like that. And so I play a bad move. I'm still better even without rook takes d6, or at least even. But anyway, I play this knight f5 check, which is an interesting move, but it's not correct. He can just take that, which he does, and then I get this check. I actually had a bit of a hallucination. I was thinking the queen plus the rook would win that knight because the check drives the king away. The king has to run to h8, and then I was planning to take the knight right here, but there's a pawn in the way. So that was a miscalculation. So I take the pawn, threatening the knight. The knight goes to e4. Cancel that. Knight to e4. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's this square. He moves the knight out of the way and puts it on an active post, and it's defended there. So that's a safe move. So he's doing okay so far. I line up with my queen this way, putting some pressure on f7. He goes knight to d4, which defends f7. Cancel that. Played knight to d4. Oh, this way, hitting my rook. So that's not maybe the best way to play it, but that's not bad. I play rook takes f7. It's this next move that's bad. He needs to play something like queen e6, and I'm trying to pile up on the h pawn there and mate, but his queen from e6 is guarding that square. His knight and his queen are guarding this square, so there's no way for me to line up and get some pressure on that pawn, or at least no simple way. And so black is defending, and he's just material up. So this holds for black. Black is winning actually because of the extra material. Instead, he played queen to h4, maybe going for counterplay, also defending the h pawn, but he left his knight hanging, and I finally noticed one. That tactic was finally simple enough for me to notice, and so he resigned here. It's not just that he lost a piece, but that this rook takes h7 threat is very serious and will win some more material. So anyway, very interesting and tactical game. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.